The new Menace 5 from Asics Australia is a really cool pair of football boots, and I was really lucky to be a part of the prototype testing phase for this boot. I'm really excited to show you some of the tech. So let's jump into it. This, of course, comes in a basic Asics box or Asics box. I'll probably use them interchangeably, but same Asics box that you get with every other model. And then here is the sizing chart. I went with a usual size 9 US, a 27 centimeters, Euro 42.5, and a UK 8. This is in the white and illusion blue colorway. They also launched in a really bright purple, pink, and kind of volt yellow colorway. And then, of course, the Menace 5. Now, here we go. These have some pretty big changes from the previous generation, which I'm very excited for. Oh, yeah, dude. Very, very cool. How good do these look? This looks like all of the coolest tech and colors. Wow, this Asics logo here looks super, it's like a flecked or it looks like forged carbon, but in blue. That's really epic looking. And then you've got some light blue accents here in the forefoot, a very interesting sole plate here, which is awesome. And of course, this new upper, which I'm so excited to chat about as well. Now, for those who are interested, I did say in the intro that I was part of the prototype testing phase, and I started testing this boot about 9 months ago now, I think it was. So I had a black prototype pair of these that were slightly different in a couple different ways, but they were basically the same model. This is, of course, the Menace 5. And they have completely changed it up from the previous generation, going with a much more sleek design, definitely a more kind of monosock construction, which we'll talk about in a second, and then updated upper materials, updated sole plate, and the like. And with this 10 millimeter heel lift in the back of the boot, which we'll talk about as well, especially in the playtest of the video, or in the next playtest video, I guess. So this boot is interesting because it's marketed as a football boot, but it's also marketed as a boot that's meant for AFL, which is Australian Football League. It's a very confusing game, to me at least, as an American citizen, but it's a very interesting and entertaining sport to watch. And then rugby league. So for the most part, I would say AFL players and rugby league players actually end up wearing football boots in general, for the most part. A lot of players will wear F50s or Vapors or other speed boots on the market. I've seen all sorts of different stuff from AFL players in particular, and then rugby league guys as well. This new design is what they're called knit monosock construction, which is just the knit material here in the midfoot. It looks very similar to the, I guess you could say, the Morelia Neo 4 Beta. You could probably also say the F50 Laceless. Like, it's got kind of that vibe to it with the monostock construction. This knit material is very nice and high quality. That's to be expected from a brand like Asics, who makes footwear across all different sports and is really good at making footwear across all different sports. So the knit material, very, very nice. You've got a durable and supportive synthetic microfiber upper, which is kind of like Hybrid Touch. It actually feels a lot like the Hybrid Touch material. It's a little more structured than BioTouch from Sokito, and I would say a little bit more structured as well than the messy Hybrid Touch model, which I actually have behind me somewhere. Yes, here we go. Get some of the sand off of it, but here you go, Messy F50 edition. So there's the Messy F50. Here is the Menace. So you can see, and these are broken in, by the way, so this is obviously going to be a little bit softer. And then you do have this one, which definitely feels a little bit more structured, but I think that was part of the point. They wanted a boot that was going to be still soft with a really nice break-in period of time, but have the amount of lockdown and structure that you get from a upper that has that monosock construction. And I will say, in the prototype testing, if it's the same, or it's going to be the same upper, this was pretty freaking awesome to play in. This upper was really comfortable. It took a little bit for me to break in just because of the shape of the boot here in the midfoot, particularly because they changed it to a monosock as opposed to a U-throat tongue, which gives naturally the boot a little bit more stretch to it. Whereas with this one, it's going to probably take me a little bit more to break in especially here through the midfoot, and then potentially here in the toe area as well. You do have the Flight Foam cushioning, which provides a lightweight cushioning here in the insole and then on the base of the boot as well. So Flight Foam is what they use in their running shoes. This is their removable sock liner, which is very nice and padded. And as I said before, Asics is an incredible footwear company, just incredible company in general, in my opinion. And they do really, really good stuff focused on the actual ergonomics of playing sport and running, and they have a really strong presence in volleyball, basketball, and netball, which are sports played here in Australia. And these are obviously an Australia only pair, but that goes with the Japan Asics products as well, that of course you guys know I absolutely love. As I said before, HG 10mm lift in the heel area, which is just gonna kick your heel up just a tiny bit, keep you a little bit more up on your toes, and it's gonna reduce a lot of stress on your Achilles and your lower leg joints. That is one thing that as I get older, I am very keen for, especially because I'm doing so much volume of running, swimming, and biking. Although I will say swimming, you don't really count, but between biking, running, and all the field testing that I do, a boot like this is a welcome sight because it does actually feel a little bit different. It relieves stress. It feels a little bit more like a running shoe without obviously being way off the ground because it's still very thin here in the midfoot and the forefoot, which is awesome. And then from a sole plate perspective, we get, in my opinion, a phenomenal balance between basically the DS Lite X-Fly 5, which I also have behind me. Excellent, here we go, the synthetic model. So as you can see, they've carried over some of the studs from the DS Lite X-Fly 5 in a similar but slightly different placement to the Menace. And then they've added some really aggressive structuring here through the midfoot, which actually I think is going to be a welcome sight. The other thing that's slightly different is the way that the curvature of that sole plate versus this one. The sole plate on the DS Lite X-Fly 5 Special Edition is definitely a little bit more curved in the forefoot, whereas this one is slightly more flat, despite this one actually having the heel lift, so you're going to feel a little bit higher up on your toes there. You also have a really nice suede liner in the heel. I'm so glad they went with something like this as opposed to the previous Menace, which had how would you say, a very slippery synthetic material back here. And the heel still fit pretty well on the Menace 4, but this one is a complete game changer. The heel on this feels incredible, way more similar to the quality that you get from the Made in Japan and Japan only Asics football boots. And then the knit does carry over to this little heel tab, which is kind of pointless, but aesthetically it makes the boot look kind of cool as well. This middle part is, they called it a trustic in the midfoot, which is for torsional support. And it is so stiff. This is great. Like that's a great amount of snap. Like that's perfect. That's all I want. But this midfoot is probably one of the stiffest midfoot on the market right now. And it comes with this wire kind of wishbone shaped truss that basically sits here in the midfoot. Very, very nice. I imagine the sole plate's going to be an absolute joy to wear as well. So Menace 5, I'm excited about this. Also because I was part of the beta testing process for it, or prototype testing process. I kind of wish they had let me keep the all black model because I think that would have been cool to show you guys some of the subtle differences between that one and this one. Although, to be fair, now that I have these in hand, because I haven't actually touched the product model yet, I saw these 4 weeks ago as of the filming of this video when the Asics Japan team came down, and then I was meeting with my Asics connection here, and who's like the lead product developer here in Australia and in Oceania, and we were all meeting, giving feedback, blah, 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 and they showed me this colorway, or the pink colorway, I can't remember. I feel like I should remember this, but it's been a busy couple weeks. Bottom line, very excited about these. Really cool colorway as well. If you are into the pink and purple one, that's great as well. That's been sort of more of the marketing that I've seen online from Asics Australia has been with the pink ones, particularly because they just are really bright and very bold, whereas this one is very much my alley. This is the white base with the accent colors. Excellent, excellent. I'm really excited to try these on. Let's jump into the on-feet portion of the video, and we'll talk about fit sizing, should you buy them? Should you try to import them if you don't live in Australia? And what this upper is like, because I reckon this is going to be a pretty kick-ass product. Let's jump into it. All right, fam, out here in the backyard with the Menace 5. This is a boot that I have been waiting for a really long time. When I got connected with and started the prototype testing process and feedback process, which, by the way, I do have a consulting business for those of you who don't know. So I work with some of the top brands in helping them get the best possible boots out for you guys. So I do that as like private consulting, basically. So when I got the Menace 5 prototypes, I was like, oh, I really like these. When are these coming out? And Asics was like, December of 2024. And I was like, damn it, I really want to wear these. So I'm hopeful that these are very similar. They're probably going to be pretty snug out of the box, but that's to be expected from a boot of this shape, especially with the new monosock construction. But let's get these on feet. I am just thrilled. These are a size 9 US per usual. And with some Asics boots, I actually do go down half a size, so I am curious to know. The prototypes were, I believe, a 9 US, I'm pretty sure, but that could be wrong. Okay, here we go. Oh, yes. Oh, my days. Yeah. Okay, these are fabulous. Well done, Asics. So I don't know whether it was just the prototype model or what, but these fit a lot softer out of the box than the prototypes did. And they were a similar upper. They were sort of experimenting with different types of this synthetic. And then the cool thing too is, if you notice, I'll actually show you guys up close. Hopefully that focuses. Yep. So see how there's another lace loop on either side? You can go super deep if you want the laces to go way far back. And so it just gives you the extra flexibility of having that one. So you can put it through this one where I'm at now, or you could go all the way down here to that hole. And so if you wanted to, you could get a little bit of extra lockdown, which I probably will once I break the boots in. But there you go. Damn. Yeah. Asics crushed this boot. Oh my days. These are awesome. Okay, super exciting. I'm really happy with how these turned out, and I'm really pumped to get going with these boots from a testing perspective. You can feel the lift in the heel pretty quick when you put the boots on. Even like this, it does definitely give you that sort of little bit of that zhuzh, if you know what I mean. So here we go, get these laced up. Oh, the upper, this microfiber upper feels fantastic. As I said in the unboxing portion of the video, this microfiber does fit a little bit more structured than, I would say, both the Messi F50 and the Sokito Scudetta. Those are kind of the two top runners as far as, I don't want to say synthetic leather goes, but sort of that, hybrid touch-esque type of material. I would say the Scudetta feels the thinnest and the softest, and then these feel very soft, but definitely more structured here through the midfoot. And then, as you can see, it's got some reinforcements across the upper, which is this coating this kind of structured coating that they've put on it. And what that does is that really locks your foot into place. And so there's a decent amount of, as you can see, my toes, I can totally wiggle my toes, no problem. But the structure of them feels like if let's say I'm sprinting up to the camera and I want to stop and then back up immediately, that feels like I'm not going to punch through the front of the boot. I'm just going to be locked straight in place, which is unbelievable. The heel lift is definitely noticeable. As I said before, it's one of those things that if you are used to it, I don't see any issues at all. When I was playing with the prototype edition of this, I don't really mind it all that much. The only time I really ever notice it is when I'm sprinting forward for longer than maybe 10 or 20 meters, because at that point, then you maybe you start to heel strike or whatever. And when you're not up on your toes and doing short, sharp sprinting motions, but from just a walking around, you can definitely feel it, but it doesn't feel that much different than a boot that's got a super, super big arc to the sole plate where you're sort of forced up on your toes anyway. These sort of are kind of a combination of both while making your Achilles feel a little bit nicer just from standing here and hanging out. Now, the knit in the midfoot is really nice. It's very high quality. As I said in the unboxing portion of the video, Asics makes incredible footwear just in general for all sorts of sports, whether it's netball or tennis or basketball, running. I wear their running shoes all the time, and they have this knit construct or this knit weave in a couple different of their really nice running shoes as well. Then from a heel area perspective, I really like the suede liner. It feels almost identical to Neo 4 and Neo 4 Beta. It's just got that nice suede kind of padded heel liner that goes, as you can see, it's a little like divot right there. You can see kind of the difference. There's a padding that goes right up on the heel. So if you get your heel below that, this sort of sits and locks your heel into place, which feels really nice. I hope it won't cause any blisters. I don't think it will per my experience with the Mizuno boots, but that's just something to keep in mind. But there you go. Here's a full look at the Menace 5. And I gotta tell you what, man, these feel amazing on feet. It's like take the messy edition of the F50, put a little bit of a heel lift and a little bit better of a sole plate just in general. Like it's a much more supportive, it feels more responsive. So put a better sole plate on the messy F50 upper, then put a sort of a paneled or a caged coating on the top, as you can see from this upper. See how there's like exposed synthetic microfiber parts like there, and then there's the little cage that comes down on each of these, and then there's exposed pieces in between. So then you have the cage over top with a better sole plate, but that same kind of softness of upper. That's the Menace 5, which is pretty, and a better heel area, like a way better heel area. So I don't know, man. Menace 5 for the win. Let's check touch on the ball, which I have a lot of experience in this boot already because of the prototypes, but yeah, sweet. Very seamless, very, very nice synthetic leather. And the upper feels really good. I imagine these are going to break in super quickly because of the neutral shape. That's the other thing about Asics boots, in my opinion, that make them better than pretty much everyone on the market, is that similar to other Asics boots that I've had from Australia that you guys have seen unboxings of, Menace 4, Lethal Testimonial, Swift Strike, I don't think the made in Japan stuff or the Japan market only stuff like DS Lite X-Fly 5 and X-Fly Pro 2 and stuff, those don't have them, but the ones that are Australia specific or Oceania specific all are endorsed by podiatrists and foot doctors, which is not, that's the same thing. What am I trying to say? Podiatrists, running specialists, running doctors, everything like that, and sports medicine professionals, because they're made in such a beautifully neutral shape that's really gonna fit most people. As you can see, the boots fit completely flush to my foot. There's no issues, there's no gaps right here. The knit pulls that upper really nicely around my foot. I am getting a slight amount of pinch right there, but that is very normal for me as that's the widest part of my foot. But overall, the rest of these boots fit absolutely sensationally well. And I think the only thing I would say that would deter somebody from wearing this is really the heel lift. If you don't want a little bit of lift in your heel, you get used to it really quickly. I noticed it a ton when I first started playing in the prototypes of these. And then after about 10 or 15 minutes, I didn't even think about it anymore. Like it was just part of the boot. And then I don't think about it at all. Kind of keeps you up on your toes a little bit. And it really does feel maybe 3 to 5% better after a session because of the less load on your Achilles and your joints in the lower body. So it's not a huge difference, but it is a difference. And so if you are somebody who really needs that or really wants that from an injury perspective, or whether you just are getting older like I am and you want that little bit of extra support and all those little percentages actually add up, then it's a great option for you. If you're in the US or European markets and you really want this boot, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe try to import them. If you're like, that is the boot I want to buy and I'm cash ready, DM me on Instagram at noah.cavanaugh and I'll see what I can do. If I can get you a pair, obviously you have to pay for them, but I'll see what I can do. But if you want the Menace 5, I can probably ship to the US or Europe. It'll just cost a little bit extra. I think these are an incredible pair of football boots. I actually think they're much better than Menace 5. And from a shape perspective, they're more aggressive, they're more speed boot focused. No, they're not leather, but the synthetic microfiber is fabulous. It's very, very similar to the, as I said, the Scudetta and the F50 Messies, except it's got that little bit of extra pizzazz because of the lockdown and that synthetic coating cage that sits on top that adds that little bit of extra lockdown that I can really feel just standing in the boots compared to the Scudetta or the F50 Messi. So if you're on the market for something like this, I would highly recommend it. Again, if you're in Australia, full send. These are freaking awesome, especially if you have wider feet. They're going to fit you better than the Messis. And then from the Scudetta to these ones, these are going to be better as a hybrid AG-FG boot, and they're going to be more durable versus the Scudetta. If you're only on FG, the Scudetta might be the better option because it does have a little bit of a softer upper if that's what you're into, but it's kind of up to you at the end of the day, obviously. But if you are in those other markets, DM me at noah.cavanaugh. Only if you are payment ready, you know your size, you're ready to go, you know the color you want, I can try to source them for you. So we'll go from there. But as always, be awesome, guys. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.